Warning. This video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all. Right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and today I got a bit of a random one. I think it's more or less full of news and a few charts. First of all, I wanted to say a couple of thank yous. So for the people that have been sending things to the PO box, thank you very much. I've had some postcards, had some sweets sent through. Special thank you to Reese, who sent me a very, very nice t-shirt. And I also want to take this moment to say a very special thank you to Eugene for putting together some new merch for the Camel Crew. So there's a whole range of What a Wild Time to Be Alive merch. The Bitcoin doing Bitcoin things has been revamped. We've also got the new Camel Finance line and the Double Hump Daddy line as well. So again, a massive thank you to Eugene for putting that together for me. I really appreciate it. Today, I want to open up with this clip, which you may have seen, okay? But this really hurt my spirit for a number of reasons. So I'm going to talk about this. I'll play you the clip first.
So I know this might feel polarizing, but I encourage you to keep an open mind right now.
No.
I see Bitcoin.
Pretty wild, right? Pretty wild. Now, I know the initial reaction to this for most people is, we're still early, right? We're still so early, no one gets it. I see some of the more toxic Bitcoin maximalist approaches to this, which are have fun staying poor and everyone gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. But really, I mean, is it surprising that a bunch of students don't understand finance or don't understand hard money? Not really, right? These people have negative net worth. For anyone that's unfamiliar, okay, net worth is calculated by the amount of assets that you own minus the liabilities, right? Minus the debt. So they own basically nothing apart from their iPhones and their trainers, and they're now in tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt from their student finance loans. So is it really surprising that people with negative net worth don't understand Bitcoin yet? Not really. But there's a part of this right at the start that really, really hurt my spirit, and I want to just rewind it and play you this, okay? And then I'll comment on it. Ready? Listen closely.
So I know this might feel polarizing, but I encourage you to keep an open mind right now.
No.
I'm laughing, but it's not funny. I encourage you to keep an open mind, he says, immediately followed up by, no, I'm not going to do that, right? And this is the really worrying thing for me. This is what hurts my spirit, is like, you pay all this money for a student to go to university, apparently to become educated, right? And really, it seems to me that they're just conditioned to confidently and smugly and arrogantly rebuke the idea of keeping an open mind, of thinking for yourself, and of thinking critically. So like I said, this really hurt my spirit to hear.
But I encourage you to keep an open mind right now.
No.
I mean, 100,000 odd debt for that. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. But yeah, it is likely that we are still early, as you can see. But then again, right, like I said, can we really expect students to understand Bitcoin? Not really, right? Not really. Keeping in with this theme of being early, okay, Bitcoin is at around 4.7% world adoption, which is the same as January 1999 for the internet adoption. So in theory, we are still early based on the S-curve of adoption for Bitcoin, right? This is the internet in red, internet adoption, and you can see Bitcoin down here. Got a long, long way to go, right? But I thought it'd be a nice point to make here that assuming we have some kind of big blow off top, right, and then enter a bear market, a lot of people think that during this bear market, or I should say this bear market cannot occur. A lot of people think this bear market cannot occur because the adoption is going to keep going up. The demand's going to keep going up. But remember, if we do have this big blow off top, if we do overshoot the fair value by a significant amount, then we can see price cooling off whilst adoption continues up until we find that next secular bear market low, that next 4-year cycle low. And so I just am suggesting that whilst this is probably going to go in this direction, right? I'm sure that is the direction it's going to go in personally. It does not necessarily mean the price has to make this smooth upward trajectory as well. We could certainly overshoot this thing, trend back down for a long time, and then overshoot this thing and trend back down for a long time. Just something to keep in mind. And fitting in with this theme of potentially being closer to a top than most people are willing to entertain, if you look at this metric without any bias, it's pretty clearly telling us that we are close in terms of time, not in terms of price, to a market top. So this is the Bitcoin value days destroyed multiple. And you can see we have this big peak, right? A bigger peak and a lower peak. And that lower peak occurs after the top. Then here we have a peak, a bigger peak, okay? And the top comes very shortly thereafter, this time without even a big pink peak. And so far we've had a peak, a big pink peak, okay? Telling us to keep an open mind perhaps about seeing something in this neighborhood coming up. And thus we're not too far away from a top. By no means suggests that we can't see much higher numbers. But again, it does kind of suggest that the top in terms of time left in this bull market may not be as much as 18 months like most people expect it to be. Under the hood though, there are some encouraging signs, okay? $130 billion asset manager Hightower has just disclosed buying $68 million worth of spot Bitcoin ETFs. And speaking of ETFs, yesterday's inflows were all positive. And so you can see that down here in the green. Happy days for now, at least. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is slowly but surely chasing that kilo of gold parity. So a kilo of gold currently sits at around $74,500 and Bitcoin trading at around $65,000, not that far away, right? Remember, Bitcoin can make these sharp snaps in no time at all. I still think it's possible that we need to find a cycle low first and then go, but I certainly expect us to overtake a kilo of gold in the not too distant future. And keep in mind, I'm also expecting higher gold prices in the not too distant future as well. Over in the traditional finance realm, okay, the volatility of the volatility is at the lowest level since January 2023. And if we go back to 2023 on an S&P 500 chart, which is all the way back here at this cycle low, okay, very good things happened to the stock market walking forward. Does it tell us to keep an open mind about seeing some kind of repeat? Quite possibly. And something I can't get my head around is Berkshire Hathaway's cash pile has just reached a new all-time high of 189 billion as of Q1 of 2024. So what is it that Warren Buffett sees? Cash pile has been building and building and building. Is it simply that the market dynamics have changed? Is it because Warren Buffett is typically a value investor, likes to buy quality companies at a low price, and frankly, all the multiples, all the valuations are just through the roof these days? Or is he anticipating some kind of big crash, some kind of big recession that he can hopefully hoover up the bottom of? But it does, of course, beg the question, right? What is it that Buffett sees? Why is Buffett holding so much cash? And I do wonder if it's because there are many, many indicators under the hood that are suggesting a recession might not be that far away. We currently have the longest lasting yield curve inversion in all of history. Meanwhile, the RSI is suggesting that this chart is about to break down. I'll show you why in just a second. And this chart also suggests that we might be about to see the largest and fastest crash in yields, even bigger than 2007 to 2009 during the GFC. So of course, what we've got here is bearish divergence on the RSI, okay? This is indicative, of course, of waning momentum, telling us to keep an open mind about seeing this play out in the not too distant future. For anyone that doesn't know, this is the 2-year yield. And as I've been showing over and over again of late, the 2-year yield typically leads the Fed funds rate lower. So if we do see a breakdown in the 2-year yield, it should tell us to keep an open mind about seeing the onset of a cutting cycle way sooner than most people are anticipating. So this makes me wonder if Buffett can see this as well. Is it that Buffett can see the writing is on the wall? Is it that he's building a cash pile, knowing that we're going to enter a recession in the not too distant future, knowing that the Fed is going to be forced to cut rates sooner than most people might be anticipating, and thus getting ready to buy the dip at the bottom in typical Warren Buffett style? In the more immediate term, okay, the S&P 500, hard to say that that doesn't look bullish. Hard to say it doesn't look bullish at all. There are some gaps lower down, and I do wonder if we maybe need to fill these gaps, create one more shakeout before then we can reverse higher. I do wonder if that's coming. But for now, at least, okay, the levels were holding above the cycle low, holding above the support. So far, we've done both, and we've confirmed by a trendline break and a strong push off. So hard to say anything other than this is bullish. Long and strong continue to push there. The Dow Jones, okay, similar story, slightly less strength. Another gap that we may have to come back and backfill before we can go. But again, hard to make the argument that this chart isn't a bullish looking chart. And the NASDAQ right into the final line of repair. Okay, so I kind of expect, because we've got the gaps below, as I was saying, I wonder if we've got to backfill the gaps on the S&P and the Dow and this NASDAQ gap here as well. I wonder if they need backfilling. And I wonder if now would be a nice opportune moment to do so, right? Rejection at resistance for the NASDAQ, backfill the gaps, create a bunch of fear, bring in a bunch of bears, and people would say, ha, I told you so, melt up's invalidated, okay, right? Trap a bunch of shorts, and then we can finally get this breakout and off we go. I wonder if that's what we need. Of course, if we can get a breakout of this level, then I think I can go to full exposure. But as I said, something in my gut is telling me that we're going to reject here, fill these gaps, create one final round of fear, and then reverse higher. But all the while, we're above the cycle lows and the support, okay? Then nothing has ultimately changed. Until those levels are lost, then long and strong continue to push across the board. It is also worth noting that the S&P just posted the best 3-day gain since November. And of course, if we look left, okay, you can see the last time we did a similar thing, okay, very good things happened to the stock market walking forward. And you'll also note that we left that gap behind and did not backfill it. So whilst I wouldn't be surprised to see the gaps backfilled, as always, it is a misnomer to say gaps have to backfill or all gaps fill. They in fact do not. And if you do a simple Google search, you can see the data for yourself on how many gaps do not fill. The DXY, I think this is a very good candidate for a swing and a daily cycle low at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see if we can confirm it with a big green strong up candle. As I keep saying over and over again, all the while we're above support, impossible for me to be bearish. Gold was showing some encouraging signs yesterday, and particularly silver. I was thinking that maybe this is the cycle low. We're going to break out, retest, resumption. If we can do that, okay, then happy days. We've got a confirmed new cycle, plenty of space ahead of us. But admittedly, a little bit lackluster. It's not looking like a big green strong push off just yet. Silver was looking a lot more encouraging, perhaps looking to lead yesterday. That's much more of a nice big green candle that I'd be looking for. So maybe this is just breakout, retest, resumption, a little bit more space, but so far encouraging looks from the precious metals markets. Still looking for a short-term cycle low to come in for oil, not necessarily as low as this arrow is marked, but I'm looking for some kind of big swing reversal, and then we can think about shorting this thing. And last but not least, Bitcoin, okay? So I'm seeing an awful lot of people that are trigger happy, awful lot of people saying that was it, that was the bottom, okay? And as I showed yesterday, this could well be in play, right? We could well have a cycle low somewhere in this neighborhood, more of a timing-based cycle low, and maybe we don't undercut that low. But also, remember, the cycles are down. The cycles are down. This is too early to form a legal and qualifying cycle low, so it does tell me to expect something more like this. The other thing I notice is if I draw a trend line through here, okay, connecting this, all of these, this, we have got a perfect rejection at the red resistance. Now, I'm not a big fan of these resistance lines with the fake breakouts like this. I don't really like that. I'd much prefer to use the outer wicks, which if we do that, you know, you can see there's a long way to go before we can start to get excited. But as I was saying, you know, there's no point being patient all the way to here and then going all in, right? Right before the cycle low. The biggest declines in price action usually come into the end of the cycle, into that cycle low. So it doesn't make sense for me to say, okay, well, that's a breakout, let's get long here, because in my mind, like I was saying, the cycle is still down for a couple more weeks, maybe slightly less. So I think a little bit of patience will go a long way. And I think even if I'm wrong about getting an undercut, then maybe this is the best we could hope for, something like this, and then go. So a little bit more patience should go an awful long way. If you're a level 3 member, look out for some updates on gold. I haven't updated you simply because I'm still trying to figure it out. We've got to let the market prove to us what exactly gold wants to do, and then we'll be able to figure out how to handle all those positions we got. And again, I know a bunch of you are trigger happy for the crypto related stocks, but a little bit of patience will go a long way. You know, the cycle lows, they're getting closer and closer every day. So a little bit more patience, and then we should be able to find some very nice high probability setups. For everyone else, thank you for being here. And until next time, take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.